Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're doing something a little bit different and, honestly, pretty mind-blowing. We're going to explore a correlation that bridges two completely different worlds. On one hand, we have the absolute cutting edge of modern technology, and on the other, the deep, ancient roots of philosophy. We're looking at the hidden structural link between the silicon and germanium chips running our digital lives and the foundational truths of Vedanta.
Okay, let's dive right into this. What on earth connects the central processing unit inside the smartphone you're probably holding right now to ancient Vedanta philosophy? I mean, on the surface, they belong in totally different universes, right? One is built in these highly advanced, multi-billion-dollar fabrication labs, and the other was conceptualized thousands of years ago by sages. But as we unpack this today, you'll see a structural parallel that is incredibly elegant. So, here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the core of modern tech, move on to the Vedanta philosophy triad, explore some natural analogies like waves, ocean, and water, and then earth, wood, and table. After that, we'll look at germanium as the substratum, and finally, wrap things up with creation, functioning, and decay.
Section 1. The core of modern tech. Let's talk about building the CPU.
Think about how a computer chip is actually built. It's kind of like a giant puzzle. It all starts at step 1 with a core element, typically germanium or silicon. Now, on its own, it's just a raw material. But in step 2, we actually introduce impurities into this germanium to create NPN or PNP diodes. This leads us directly to step 3, where these become transistors. And to give you an idea of the sheer scale here, a modern chip can hold billions of these transistors on a piece of material the size of your fingernail. Crazy, right? Now, depending on how it's used, a transistor can act as a capacitor, a resistor, an inductor, or even a logic filter. Finally, in step 4, when you assemble all these various components together into one single highly organized form, it becomes a CPU, a central processing unit.
And we all know just how vital that final CPU is for us today. It runs your mobile phones, your laptops, your TVs, your cars. In fact, it runs the entire telecom industry. Today, the CPU is the absolute fundamental requirement running virtually everything in our technological environment. Keep that incredible building process in your mind for a second. From a single raw element to billions of complex components, all resulting in one singular CPU.
Section 2. The Vedanta philosophy triad. 3 levels of reality.
Let's move over to the philosophy side and see how this builds. In Vedanta, a fundamental triad explains reality. The first concept you need to know is the Adhisthana. This is the substratum, the ultimate core foundation from which absolutely everything else arises. It is the absolute base layer of reality.
The second concept in this triad is the ashraya. This roughly translates to the support. You can think of the ashraya as the intermediate form. It's not the base foundation itself, but rather the structural level that rests directly upon that core substratum, acting as a support for what comes next.
And that brings us to the third concept, the Vishwa. The Vishwa is the manifestation, is the final visible world. Basically, it's the ultimate complex form that we actually interact with and see all around us. Now, I know Adhisthana, Ashraya, and Vishwa might sound highly abstract right now, but we're going to ground them in physical reality in just a moment.
Section 3. Waves, ocean, and water. A brilliant natural analogy.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about. Think of oceanic waves. The waves are the final manifestation, the Vishwa. The ocean itself is the support, the ashraya. And the core foundation, the adhisthana, well, that's simply water. Because let's think about it. Waves are water. The ocean is water. Ultimately, water is water. Now apply that same logic to the Vedanta terms. The visible world, or the loka, is the Vishwa. The creator or support, Ishvara, is the ashraya. And the ultimate foundational reality, Brahman, is the adhisthana. So just as the waves in the ocean are fundamentally water, the loka and Ishvara are fundamentally Brahman. It's all the same base substance.
Section 4, earth, wood, and table. Another really physical example. Imagine a simple wooden table. The table is the final object you see and use every day. It's the Vishwa, the manifestation. But what supports it? What is it actually made of? It's made of wood, which is our ashraya, the intermediate support. But where does the wood come from? The wood draws itself from the earth. The earth is the adhisthana, the ultimate substratum. So a table is made of wood, and wood is drawn from the earth. Therefore, ultimately, the table is earth. Wood is earth, and earth is earth. You see how that flows?
Section 5, germanium as the substratum. This is where ancient and modern totally converge. Now, what's really interesting here is how perfectly the modern tech industry maps onto this ancient Vedanta triad. The final visible manifestation, the Vishwa, is the CPU running our devices. The intermediate support, the Ashraya, are those various components we talked about earlier, the transistors, capacitors, and resistors. And the ultimate substratum, the Adhisthana, is the pure germanium.
When you really internalize this, it's absolutely profound. All the various components, the filters, the resistance, they are all germanium. The CPU itself, in all its magnificent mind-boggling complexity, is also just germanium. So just like the table is earth and the waves are water, the CPU is germanium. The resistance is germanium. Germanium is germanium. The core is entirely the same. The base reality of our ultra-modern technological world is literally just a physical expression of this exact ancient philosophical structure. No way around it.
Section 6. Creation, Functioning, and Decay. Expanding into the life cycle of form.
So the crucial point is that this unity of substance leads to a very predictable cycle, mapped out perfectly by ancient thought. In Vedanta, this is the cycle of srishti, sthiti, and decay. First, there's srishti, creation. The CPU is manufactured and created from the germanium. Then comes sthiti, functioning. The CPU operates, powering your laptop or your car, staying in that functional state for a time. And finally, after some time, it decays. It reaches its end of life. Everything we've discussed today, from the oceanic waves rolling into the shore, all the way to the complex telecom networks running on silicon and germanium, follows this exact same, inevitable cycle of creation, functioning, and decay.
We've seen how a single base material transforms into incredibly complex systems. We've seen it with water turning to oceans and waves. We've seen earth becoming wood and tables. And we've seen raw germanium becoming the resistors, transistors, and CPUs that literally run the modern world. But despite the endless complexity of these forms, from natural wonders to global telecom networks, does the base reality ever truly change? The Adhisthana, the foundational substratum, remains absolutely constant. It's a breathtaking reminder that sometimes the most advanced technological realities we can dream up are perfectly explained by the most ancient philosophical wisdom. Really makes you think, doesn't it?